Hello there. Thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalists Hangout. I am Kemi Fola-Adeyemo. Today on the program, we discuss the internal wranglings between APGA's 15-year reign in Anambra State as the APC, the PDP and YPP plan big for the November the 6th governorship election. Plus, gunmen hijacked 3 buses, abduct 60 passengers in Sokoto. And later on the show, Mr. Fashola visits Nigeria-Cameroon 1.5-kilometer border bridge in Cross River State, says it will facilitate free trade. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Sam Ibemere. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
And welcome to you all out there. Journalists Hangout starts now. It's exactly 100 days to the November governorship election in Anambra State. But there is a cloud of uncertainty over candidates of the major political parties contesting the poll. Internal wranglings are threatening the 15-year reign of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, in the state, as other parties like the All Progressives Congress, the People's Democratic Party, and the Young Progressive Party are strategizing to take over the state. What seemed like a 3-horse race now depends on court verdicts for the real gladiators to emerge. And that's how we begin the program this evening. BKO, the courts, and of course it's almost difficult to keep track of the drama in and out of the courts. But for you now, what are the core points as the countdown picking, so to speak, now to the November election?
Yes, the Anambra governorship election is really in play. All the parties fancy their chances of winning. Many people believe that the time has come to kick the APGA out of power. The APGA was seen from the off as the party that Ikemba Ojukwu endorsed. And they produced 2 governors who spent 8 years in office, 8 years each in office. Governor Peter Ume came in on the platform of APGA, spent 8 years, succeeded by Ebiano, who also is going to have successfully spent 8 years by March next year. So now elections in that state have always been competitive. You find a situation in which the PDP will dominate the National Assembly election and the presidential election, but the House of Assembly and the governorship, they won't be able to dominate. So this time around, the PDP thinks that it is good to go, that this is the best time to clinch the governorship. And because of the crisis within the APGA, a lot of these parties think that this is their best chance, because the truth is there are 2 factions. The faction supported by the NWC of the PDP, of the APGA, and another faction. And there are 2 court cases, 2 judgments by 2 courts of concurrent jurisdiction. One was obtained far away in Jigawa State. You wonder why an individual will go all the way to Jigawa State to get a judgment, that will render the earlier judgment in favor of the Oye-led faction of the APGA a nullity. But that's the situation. And that same situation is what you see in the PDP
and the APC,
as well as the APC is a little. It's a situation that is much more definitive. But that is what you see in the PDP, where Ugochukwu Uba, the elder brother of the Uba brothers, wants to gazump Valentine Ozigbo's position as the candidate of the faction backed by the governor of Anambra State. So it's I said by the governor of Anambra State. Valentine Ozigbo is it is his faction that the NWC of the PDP supports.
Seconders.
Yes. So we don't know how the courts will resolve this matter. The mainstream faction of APGA, it was Chasoludo that emerged, from their primaries held on June 19. Now, that group is being challenged by a rival faction that believes that whatever decisions that were reached by the National Working Committee of the APGA that it does not believe was properly constituted must be rendered a nullity. So that is where they are. So people believe now that if APGA does not put its house in order, it is possible that what happened in Zamfara or Bayelsa State may happen to them. They've just, there are chances of keeping that state is in the balance, because no one knows how these matters will be resolved by the courts.
Well, that said, Sam, what's your take about the wranglings within APGA itself?
Okay, to be specific about APGA, just like every other political party in the country, it speaks to the challenge of internal cohesion. It simply tells you that there are resentments, within the party. There are sections, of the ruling party in Anambra State that don't feel, that they're not being carried along, and that is why you have these, officials within the party. So it's a signal that the party has cohesion issues. Secondly, it also speaks to the fact that the issue of internal democracy within the political parties still remains one, that is yet to be resolved, not just in APGA, but in most political parties across the country. If you look at PDP at the national level, you have the same challenge. APC, you still have the same challenge. So as far as APGA is concerned, it just tells you that there's a lot of work to do internally, and if these issues are not amicably resolved, you're likely to have, it's likely to affect their chances in the forthcoming elections. But I would always say that it's always nice to have issues like this, sorted out at the court, so that we can, deepen our institutions, as it were. Because if these cases are not, tested at the courts, you wouldn't know what the outcomes, will be. So Anambra indeed presents an interesting case, and it has always been like that, over the years. But what I think makes the November 6 elections even much more interesting is the fact that it's not only just been deeply contested, it's also the way it is because there seems to be a gentleman's agreement that the position should be zoned to Anambra South. The North has had its share, the Central has had its share. So the South is where the generality of the people feel power should swing to. But it's not even as clear as that, because even within Anambra South, you still have the power blocks. You have the old Agwata Union, you have the Newi block, where Ifeanyi Uba dominates, and then you have Newi. So even within the South, it doesn't present a clear case, because the Ubas, as represented in PDP, in APC, and APGA, it's going to be a very hotly contested election. So whoever picks the ticket at the end of the day, after the courts, decide, will then have to battle it out with their brothers in Anambra South.
All right, let's now bring in the former national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, Senator Victor Ume. It's good to have you join us. He joins us from our Abuja studio for more discussion, especially on the APGA controversy. Thank you very much for joining us at this time, Senator Umeh. But where do you stand in the infighting in APGA itself between Mrs. Oye and Mr. Okeke? All right, we'll try to reconnect with APGA's former national chairman, Senator Victor Ume. In the meantime, let's also look at, now that the attention has shifted to the courts, BKO, of course it's been said, if you look at the situation in the just concluded in the past general election in 2019, well, I'm told now that Senator Umeh is back with us.
Of APGA, starting from Ojukwu to when Obi became governor, to when Obiano became governor. And I am happy to say that what you have tried to talk about is something I've been with from the beginning, from the founding of APGA. And when Ojukwu was leader of the party, I was the national chairman of the party for 5 years. And we saw Obi become governor through our struggles with the party. And then through my chairmanship, Obiano came on board as governor and serving out his tenure now. From what you have said, it's very disgusting that you have now to describe APGA as a party that is factionalized. Now talking about Victor Ume faction and Okeke faction. I want to say without any fear of contradiction that APGA has no faction. What you people see in the media and what people hold them out to be is not the correct thing. Before you can say that a party is factionalized, that party will be divided from the top to the bottom. National Working Committee will be parallel. The state chairman will be parallel. In other words, each group will have a National Working Committee of its own. The other group, each group will also have 36 state chairmen across the country. And Anambra State, for example, where the governorship election is coming, each group will also have state structure of the party in Anambra State. But unfortunately, that is not the case. We have only one APGA in operation in Nigeria, and that is the APGA that is being led by Chief Victor Ume as chairman, Willie Obiano as leader of the party, Governor Willie Obiano as leader of the party, Labram Mako as national secretary, with all the officers. If you come down to Anambra State, only this very group has a statewide structure, state executive, local government party executive, ward executive. The Jude Okeke you are calling to be leading a faction in APGA has nobody in Anambra State, no party structure, no executive at the state level. He has nobody at the local government level. He has nobody at the ward level. Victor Ume's led APGA has a board of trustees, which is functioning. It also has members of the National Assembly, members of the State House of Assembly, and the governor of Anambra State, the incumbent governor of Anambra State, being with that leadership. So when you look at it from that perspective, you will agree with me that one is the party, the other one is a fiction, something that is being put out for people to think that they are existing. So there's no such thing. Both in law and in operation, the other group does not exist.
Can you go down memory lane and tell us how did this whole problem begin, that we had an Okeke filing court cases against his home party. How did we get here?
Yes, that's what I said. Okeke, I don't even know him. I've been a member of APGA from 2002, from when it was registered. I was the party's first national vice chairman, Southeast. I was its national treasurer. I was national chairman for 10 years. And I'm here sitting, talking with you. I have never met this Okeke anywhere in my life. I don't know him. Even if he's standing here now, I can't identify him. So he's somebody that came up on the 15th of June, 2021, for the first time. That was when he gathered with some people in Abuja here and announced a suspension of one Edozie Njoko, who he said he was his deputy national chairman for South, and then said that he had a NEC meeting that appointed him acting national chairman of APGA. On 15th of June, that's when he surfaced. APGA that has been operating since 2002 with a line of succession. From Chekwa Sokorie, I was with him in the same executive. From him, I took over. Then, after my tenure, 2 terms in office, we had a convention where Victor Ume was elected the national chairman of APGA, alongside his executives, including Labra Michael, the national secretary. When they served out the first tenure, in 2019, they conducted another convention, because every 4 years, you elect officers of the party. Apart from being in the APGA constitution, it's also in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So in that convention, they wrote INEC and notified them of the coming convention of APGA to elect new officers, for 31st of May 2019. They gave them the venue of that convention to be Oka, and it will be in Oka and at Professor Dora Akunyili Women Development Center. Stated the time. That is what the Electoral Act requires the party to do, according to Section 85 of the Electoral Act. On that day, the party had the convention as notified to INEC, and INEC was in attendance at that convention, monitored the convention, and saw that the officers of the party, new people were elected, some people were re-elected. Chief Oye was re-elected as national chairman. Labran Michael was re-elected as national secretary, with others, And these are people who took over from me in 2015, So since then, they've been leading the party as National Work Committee members of APGA. And just last year, 2020, around April, somebody challenged Victor Ume's executive at the High Court of Anambra State, challenged the convention. After hearing and taking into consideration all the facts available to the High Court in Anambra State, the court delivered a final judgment, affirmed Victor Ume and Labra Michael as national chairman and national secretary respectively, along with their other national officers. That judgment was delivered on 18th November 2020. That judgment has not been appealed against. And like I said, INEC monitored the said convention and produced a report of that convention. That report is here with me from INEC. You can see it here. Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, National Convention Report, held on the 31st of May 2019 in Anambra State. That's the report here. INEC produced it. And from there, they took away the list of officers of APGA that were elected at that convention, took it to Abuja, and INEC approved this report, because when they send monitors, they bring their report, INEC will deliberate on the report as a commission and approve it. They approved the report and listed all the officers elected by APGA at that convention as national officers of APGA.
Okay.
So but there is even another
in the list of
Senator Umeh, there's even another gentleman involved in the drama. There is also Honorable Umeh that INEC has now recognized as the party's true candidate. What's your response to that?
Even if it's
well, that is what the foundation we're laying, because if you are not a lawful leadership of a party, you cannot nominate a candidate for that party to contest any election. it is not possible. Having established that Chief Victor Ume and his executive are serving their second term in office and validly elected through the National Convention of the party, and INEC has stated unequivocally, at least on the 25th of June 2021, in a program I did with National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education of INEC, Barrister Festus Okoye, he admitted on television, national television channels, that APGA has no faction, and that in the record of INEC, Victor Ume remains the national chairman, Labra Mako remains the national secretary, along with the other officers of the party. 25th of June this year. So you can imagine.
What steps are you taking?
15th of July. 15th of July.
Senator, what steps are you taking?
They were served a court order
to resolve it
from Jigawa High Court, sitting in Berlin Kudu.
Yes, what steps are you taking? What steps are you taking to get that judgment, that order of the court in Jigawa State, to set it aside and affirm Professor Soludo as the candidate of your party? What steps are you taking now? Because time is of essence, the election is getting close.
Yes, now this thing just happened. We're already in the Court of Appeal, Kano Division, to appeal against the judgment of the Jigawa High Court. A court in Berlin Kudu ordered INEC to do certain things in respect of an election that will take place in Anambra State. And that judgment we are talking about, Babajide, is very funny. Where somebody claimed that he was elected deputy national chairman not in a Dozie Njoko faction of APGA. In a purported convention they said they held in Owerri on the 31st of May 2019. When I have told you now that APGA told INEC they will hold their convention in Oka, in writing, and some people in my letter said they held a convention in Owerri. INEC didn't know them, and for these 2 years, INEC has refused to recognize that Edozie Njoko as having emerged through any convention of APGA. Now, somebody went to Jigawa and said he was that same Edozie Njoko's deputy, and that along the line they quarreled and they suspended the Edozie Njoko. That the NEC met, the one I was telling you about, on 15th of December, saying that they have appointed him, Jude Okeke, acting national chairman of APGA. And this was what they presented to the court in Jigawa. APGA was not a party in the suit. Victor Ume was not a party in the suit. And they proceeded to enter judgment against people who are not known to INEC as officers of APGA at any material time, and said INEC should not deal with the fellow. That's how they came up. And INEC now said, because they've been ordered to recognize him as acting national chairman.
All right, Senator Umeh, let me put you on hold. We have to take a crucial break at this point. Kindly hold on to your thoughts. We will continue this conversation right after this break. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. It's Journalist Hangout showing on TVC News, and we still have Senator Victor Ume with us, the former national chairman of APGA, even as, of course, the countdown continues to the November the 6th governorship election in the state. Senator Umeh, there has been calls from the ADC party that on account of this impasse, so to speak, parties like yours be disenfranchised from the polls, quoting bad leadership and gross indiscipline. What is your response to people calling for the disenfranchisement of your party in the polls?
I didn't get you. Did you say APC?
ADC. ADC.
You are calling for the disqualification of your party.
I did what?
That they are calling for the disqualification of your party on account of all of these squabbles.
Issues that are not yet resolved.
What is their ground to call for disqualification of APGA? That is that they are joking. ADC has just nominated somebody who did not pass the screening of APGA to contest the primary. Mr. Akachu Nwankpo. So he has crossed over to ADC, and they've presented him as their candidate. The way he will become governor will not be by asking, who is he asking to disqualify APGA? That is a baseless statement. And I do not want to dwell on tantrums being thrown by people who are looking for something. I'm more interested in streamlining the situation in APGA so that the Nigerian public will know the truth and then follow the truth. Because all the time, when people come out and create confusion, it will become the trending news across Nigeria, both on social media and even on televisions. If they have not succeeded, they have succeeded in telling you that there are factions in APGA when there is no such thing. And I was trying to tell you how Jude Okeke emerged in the scene. I said he went to Jigawa High Court and claimed that he was deputy to Edozie Njoko, having emerged with him at the purported National Convention of APGA, which they said they conducted in Owerri in 2019, May 31st precisely. And I was telling you that there was no such convention outside the one that held in Okeke in Anambra State, as duly held by the leadership of Victor Ume and Malabran Mako of APGA. And Governor Obiano, who was our leader, party leader too. So when he made that frivolous claim, concealed with fraudulent
We thank you very kindly, Senator Victor Ume, the former national chairman of APGA. You have been really magnanimous in your responses to our inquiries on the APGA situation. Thank you indeed.